Yo, what's up guys? Coach Nate, owner at Steel Strength Training. Look, we've helped about 1,000 everyday men and women change their body health and lifestyle through strength training, nutrition, and accountability. And so I'm just giving you my best tips and tricks and advice from the last decade of helping these men and women change their life. So today, I just want to encourage you, if you're wrestling through the question of why am I not feeling fill in the blank muscle working when I do fill in the blank exercise. All right, so why can't I feel my lats when I'm doing rows? Just as an example. All right, so I just want to encourage you with something. So the way that the body works, if you're doing a certain movement that requires a muscle to be working, for example, if you're doing rows, that is, your lats are involved whether you feel it or not, because to perform that motion, the lats have to fire, they have to activate. Now, sure, there may be some crazy extenuating circumstances. You might have some injury where a nerve has been severed and that muscle doesn't work. But barring these wild circumstances that I'm sure you would already know about and are certainly beyond our scope of practice as personal trainers, besides those situations, I can guarantee you that if you're doing a row, for example, your lats are working whether you feel it or not. So my encouragement to people who are new to working out is to first, before you worry about certain muscles being felt or activated during a movement, focus on doing the movement properly. Focus on using good form, making sure you're not feeling it in the joints, all right? Making sure you're moving well through a full range of motion without joint pain. Once you have that movement mastered, now it's time for you to start looking at, that mind-muscle connection. So when you're first doing a bicep curl, for example, just focus on going all the way down, all the way up, squeeze, all the way down, all the way up, squeeze, things like that. Focus on the movement, the full range of motion, nothing's hurting, your shoulders feel good. And then once you've mastered that movement, now we can really start focusing on the target muscle. But the good news is, even before you're focusing on feeling the target muscle or developing what many call the mind-muscle connection, even if you're not focusing on that, that muscle is working. Your bicep has to work if you are doing a curl. It literally has to. It has no choice. All right? So when you're starting out, don't get too hung up on, I don't feel it a lot in my, if you're doing a bench press, I don't feel it a lot in my pecs. Okay, don't worry about it. Just make sure we're not in pain. Make sure we're not feeling it in joints. Make sure everything, you're going through a full range of motion, good form. And then once you have the form nailed down, we can start focusing on that mind-muscle connection. All right, that's the beauty of it. If you are doing a given movement, all the muscles that do that movement have to be working, unless that nerve has been severed and it literally can't fire, but that is beyond anything that I can help you with, all right? And my guess is, for 99.999% of you, that's not what's going on, all right? This idea that your lats aren't firing, your quads aren't firing, I call BS, all right? And if another fitness pro would love to argue this, I'm open to it. Or even if you're not a fitness pro, that's fine. I'm open to being told I'm wrong here, but in my experience and from what I understand about human anatomy and physiology, if you're doing a movement, that muscle is working, period. So once you have the movement down, then yes, try to focus on feeling the target muscle. And I keep using the lats, for example, in rows because it's probably one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult muscle to stimulate or to develop that mind-muscle connection with. After working with close to 1,000 men and women, I found this is one of the most difficult muscles to feel that connection with, right? Whereas doing a bicep curl, basically everybody has no problem feeling their bicep working, okay? And so it is good to develop that mind-muscle connection, and I do think you could probably create a greater stimulus for that muscle when your mind-muscle connection is very dialed in. But what I can assure you of is that you're probably going to get 80+%, if not much higher, on a conservative number, 80+% of the results just by doing the proper movement compared to somebody who's doing the proper movement and they just really have a super great mind-muscle connection with that muscle. You're probably, even if you don't have that connection, but you're doing the movement properly, you're probably going to get on worst case scenario, it's probably much closer to 100%, but you're probably going to get 80% of the stimulus that somebody's got that mind-muscle connection has. So don't sweat it. Just focus on doing the right movement. Don't beat yourself up. And just know, if it takes you months and months to really feel a certain muscle, to develop that mind-muscle connection, and you've got a mind-muscle connection with some and you don't have one with others, that's totally normal. Don't beat yourself up. Do not beat yourself up at all. It's something that will get better with time. Everybody I've worked with, even people who are, self-proclaimed, I'm clumsy, I'm not athletic, I'm very spatially unaware, I'm unaware of my body. That's okay. We work with a ton of those people, and so all of them are able to develop the mind-muscle connection at some point. It just might take some time, and that's okay. That's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Just focus on doing the movement properly and then work on the mind-muscle connection. But you can know with confidence that if you are doing the movement properly, that you are going to get a great stimulus for that muscle.